All right, everybody. This is some pretty big news. We are living through a historical event today. Once again, another historical event. Joe Biden has decided to drop out of the race. Now, there are a couple reasons why people have talked about why this has likely happened. There has been calls for months and months and months, even within the Democratic Party, for Biden to drop out due to his age. And the media has focused on Biden's age and every stutter and misspeak pretty heavily, which has definitely fed into the idea that Biden is too old, is when the media just magnifies every single, gaffe. You know what I mean? And it got to become a very common meme that Joe Biden's brain was, melting. He had dementia. We had constant, medical professionals confirming Joe Biden's brain was healthy, and in fact, Trump's brain is the one that seems to be indicating signs of dementia. But regardless, that was the idea. And so people believe that Biden just didn't really stand a chance to win. Now, personally, I believe that Biden had the best chance to win, and I still do think he does. But the person who's going to be replacing him probably has the next best chance to win, so I can't really be too upset about the situation, especially if we handle this situation right. If we push for Kamala, who will likely take his place, Kamala Harris, if we push for her hard enough, I think we've got a pretty good chance of winning. I think we might even be able to surpass Biden's chances of winning. But here's the deal. There's a few reasons why I think Biden might have finally decided to step down. I don't think it's because the American people were necessarily calling for it. I think a lot of people overestimate how unanimous the calls for Biden to step down were. It wasn't as ubiquitous as the media has been framing it. Two, the polling numbers. The polling numbers for Biden have never been very strong. Even going back to the election he won, 2020, they've just never been strong pre-election. And yet Biden's voter turnout swamped the estimations for all the polling numbers, and he swamped Trump harder than any of the polling expected. No one expected Georgia or Wisconsin. These were unprecedented W's that just kind of emerged from the ether. No one expected it. To be fair, as much as we laugh at, Tim Pool back in 2020 for saying Trump's gonna win super hard, 49-state landslide, things did look pretty good for Trump. It was a bit of a scary time, and there was a reason why the no-doomer mindset was put into place by me, and that was the start of that rule, was because people were dooming so hard over Biden's chances to win 2020. And then he won really fucking hard, ridiculously hard, with insane turnout. How much that had to do with Biden, I don't know. It probably had more to do with Trump just being so awful that keeping him out of office motivated people to come out and vote. And it's why I didn't really buy the idea that Biden had no chance, right? I didn't buy that idea. And I thought it was very pessimistic, and I thought that playing into it basically was a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think Biden is too weak to win, why are you dedicating yourself to throwing rocks at him and weakening him, right? The chances of him actually dropping out were very unlikely at the time. Here's why I think Biden probably dropped out. About a week ago, Biden signed a tax policy that heavily increased the tax rate on billionaires. Many of those billionaires being Democrat DNC mega donors. Mind you, this is the kind of tax policy that Dem voters have been screaming, crying, pissing, and shitting for decades on decades on decades now. A real progressive tax policy. Biden passed this, and within literally a week, all the left-wing media coverage pivoted to negative coverage of Biden. You guys noticed that, right? Biden passes new tax plan, taxes billionaires more, within a week after this event. And New York Times is posting op-eds about how Biden needs to not just step down, but that, who was it? Aaron Sorkin suggested that the DNC nominate Mitt Romney, a Republican, as the DNC nominee in Biden's place. It was some very bizarre, I thought they were going hard against Biden before. After Biden put in place that tax policy, it just all of a sudden everybody is calling for Biden to step down. Biden said he is like determined to not drop out of the race, and every headline is Biden is in the contemplative phase of his political career. And it was like, holy shit, they're not letting up. And sure enough, they didn't let up, and Biden stepped down. That's what I think probably was the reason he stepped down, was because of the response from Democrat mega donors to his tax policy. It was more likely a combination of all three of these things, but we are now in an unprecedented situation where Biden has been forced to step down. And that is how I think it pretty much has gone. He's been effectively forced to step down. What about COVID? I mean, he's a little sick, but I don't think it's the reason he's stepping down by any means. But Biden is stepping down, and in his place, he is endorsing Kamala Harris, his current vice president. And I think this is the best case scenario for the situation. I think it's the best case scenario, especially if everybody who has been talking about how bad Biden is and how much he can't win and how he needs to step down, if they now immediately pivot from the anti-Biden content to pro-Kamala content. Non-stop, incessant, pro-Kamala content until the election. Because as much as I think Kamala's chances are pretty good, she can't win without our help. So here's the announcement Biden put out today. And I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to go over the Biden-Harris record on the White House website. To not only talk about, all of the things that Biden has achieved so far in his presidency, sort of like, now that there's not really any stakes to it, maybe a lot more people who weren't willing to listen to, like, what Biden has achieved before might be willing to listen now, since there's no, like Biden's not in the race anymore. He is now effectively an ex-president, right? We can talk about his achievements, and it's very clear that, like, bias doesn't play a part. Like, we're talking about the ex-president now. Though he's still president, you know what I mean. Like, he is not running again. He is going to not be president anymore in 100 days. Right, technically a little more, but you know what I mean. So we're going to go over not only the achievements of Biden that weren't really given any attention, but also the achievements of Kamala. Because Kamala is Biden's vice president, and Biden's achievements are just as much Kamala's achievements. So, here's the post from Biden. Joseph R. Biden Jr. on July 21st, 2024. I almost read My Fellow Americans in the Obama voice, because I think Obama had the most iconic delivery of My Fellow Americans. Like, it just went so fucking hard. My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances, passed the first gun safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We've protected and preserved our democracy, and we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I can't do a Biden impression very well, I'm sorry. I believe it is in the best interest for my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me re-elected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work, and let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today, what I always have, that there is nothing America can't do when we do it together. We just have to remember we are the United States of America. 07. The only real worry I have here is that the Republicans are actually able to do what they promised to do, which is if Biden is replaced, they've said they plan to challenge the new nominee in court to keep them off the ballot. Not to keep them from running or to keep them from being elected or taking office, but to keep them off the ballot in as many states as possible. So for all we know, like, if any state achieves it, I bet Ohio. I think there's a good chance Ohio doesn't even have Kamala on the ballot because the Republicans there might go unchallenged in keeping her off the ballot. Only in Ohio? If it happens anywhere, it'll be Ohio. Ohio is so deep, hard red. It's Trump country. It's like they don't care about the rules or the system, Trump country. Like, they'll outright break the existing laws just to, like, yeah. I worry about those states. Like, Ohio is one of them. South Dakota's really bad right now. Texas and Florida, obviously. Like, there's a good handful of states that are, like, so fucking red. I don't know if there is a resistance against outright illegal election interference in those states, and they could try to challenge with the courts and have genuinely no. We could have no defense to keep Kamala on the ballot. Realistically, who knows? It could go up to the Supreme Court, and at that point, I mean, you know what's going to happen. Not trying to doom her. That's just a very real concern I have, and I'm just voicing it. I don't think they're even going to be able to pull it off realistically. I think it's pretty far-fetched they pull it off or even, like, go for it seriously. But who knows? I've been surprised before. No, if you told me 10 days ago someone was going to take a shot at Trump and miss, but they'd hit his ear, I would have called you a bullshitter. Anyway, now that we are down to the wire, about 100 days away until the election, and Harris is basically our nominee now. I don't know if it's fully official yet. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow we wake up and we find out Harris isn't our nominee and it's someone we've never heard of before, and it's like, oh, shit. That could end up happening for all we know. Presumably, we've got Harris. Harris, I think, is who is going to be our nominee. So assuming it's Harris, let's go over Biden and Harris's record. We're both simultaneously going to appreciate the achievements of Biden as well as the promise of Kamala Harris. So I'm on the White House website right now, and I'm just going to read. The Biden-Harris record. When President Biden and Vice President Harris took office, our country faced unprecedented crises: a raging pandemic, economic crisis, climate crisis, and racial injustice. The president and vice president ran for office on the promise to move quickly to tackle these crises head-on and deliver results for working families. That's what the Biden-Harris administration has done. Top accomplishments: lowering the cost of families' everyday expenses. More people are working than at any point in American history. Making more in America. This one it goes into more. Each one of these is like a little section that I can click on, and there's like a whole, there's a whole section about this. So to elaborate, was that a car accident a couple blocks away? The fuck? I got my window open and I heard a bunch of honking. I think a car accident happened a few blocks away. Should I go help, chat? Should I pause stream and go and help? It's pretty far away. I imagine paramedics would be there before I could do anything. Like, what am I gonna go there and, like, ask someone for their phone so I can call 911? My current phone's broken. Check it out. Yeah, do whatever. Anyway, so, like, to give you an idea, the Making More in America section goes on to elaborate. As a result of historic legislation the president has signed into law, there is a manufacturing boom taking hold across America. In 2 years, companies have announced nearly $300 billion in manufacturing investments in the United States. These investments are ensuring that technologies of the future are made in America and bringing back supply chains from overseas. And they are creating good-paying jobs, including union jobs and jobs that don't require a 4-year degree. So these are what are considered low-skill union jobs that pay well. $300 billion in low-skill, well-paying manufacturing union jobs in 2 fucking years. That's Biden and Harris right there. Protecting. This is a big one. I imagine you guys care a lot about this one. Protecting marriage for LGBTQIA+ and interracial groups. Over 10 years ago, President Biden announced his support for marriage equality, becoming the highest-ranking U.S. government official to do so. Yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, do you know why gay marriage is federally legalized? It's credited to Obama because Obama signed the executive order, but do you want to know who told Obama to do that and convinced Obama to do that? Biden. That was Biden. Like, legit, Obama may have signed the paper, but Biden is the reason we have federally legalized gay marriage. And that was in 2015, I believe. Building on his oh yeah, and you know, like, the narrative about Biden being racist because of the crime bill? If you guys remember, the reason why all the Dems back then backed the crime bill was because with the crime bill, the bullshit in the crime bill that we don't like, the Dems were able to fill it and bundle it with a shitload of reforms that the Republicans would have never let get passed otherwise. It was one of the biggest compromises ever, and the things that the Democrats were able to get passed in that compromise were pretty fucking big. It was not a case of, like, the Dems were racist back then and were like, yeah, crime bill, fuck brown people, rah. That just wasn't a thing. But I know that narrative was pretty popular against Biden as well. Biden's actually been based for, like, a really long time. Building on his long-standing support and generations of civil rights advocacy, President Biden signed historic bipartisan legislation protecting marriage for same-sex interracial couples, and this is also Kamala, the president took historic steps to advance full equality for LGBTQIA+ Americans, including reversing the discriminatory ban on transgender service members in the military. Oh yeah, who remembers that? Trump, like, day 3 banned trans people from the military, and then day 2, Biden brought them back. Strengthening non-discrimination protections in healthcare, housing, education, and employment, and ensuring that transgender Americans can access government support and services. Obviously, all this carries on to Kamala as well, so, you know, these are reasons why you should support Kamala, too. Rescued the economy and changed the course of the pandemic. Soon after taking office, with a pandemic raging and an economy reeling, the president signed the American Rescue Plan to change the course of the pandemic and jumpstart our economic recovery. The American Rescue Plan funded our successful vaccination campaign, safely reopened schools for in-person learning, helped 200,000 childcare providers keep their doors open, and delivered relief to American families. Rebuilding our infrastructure. Washington policymakers celebrated Infrastructure Week without ever delivering. President Biden got it done. He worked across the aisle to forge consensus and pass the bipartisan infrastructure law, a once-in-a-generation investment in our nation's infrastructure. We are rebuilding roads, bridges, ports, and airports, upgrading public transit and rail systems, replacing lead pipes to provide clean water, cleaning up pollution, providing affordable high-speed internet to every family in America, delivering cheaper and cleaner energy to households and businesses, and creating good-paying jobs, including union jobs and jobs that don't require a 4-year degree. I love how much they emphasize how important union jobs are to their administration. Like, Biden and Kamala's administration has been the most pro-union presidential administration ever. By a lot! Historic expansion of benefits and services for toxin-exposed veterans. So this is a very close one to Biden, obviously, because his son died due to cancer incurred by the burn pits. I believe his son was a Marine. Not Hunter. Beau Biden, I believe, was a Marine. And I think he incurred lung cancer because they burn trash while out on duty, because there's no, like, when you're out in the middle of, like, the desert doing military operations, you produce a lot of trash because you're a bunch of fucking people, like, living and doing an operation, but there's no trash services and stuff, so, like, rubble, debris, trash, all sorts of shit is getting burned in pits out there while they're, like, guarding certain outposts or at certain locations, and the fumes cause cancer. So, this is a big one. False. Oh, we've got someone in YouTube chat spamming random, like, Trump talking points about how bad Biden is. I love how, like, Biden has stepped down and we're reading, like, Biden and Harris's achievements, and the comments are like, no, he didn't. So there are still people, like, and that's a regular in the chat. That's somebody who I know as a regular in the community. It's not even a conservative. I'm pretty upset to see that a fair amount of the people who are shit-talking Biden are not giving Kamala credit when she is now the nominee. It's like, oh, okay, so Kamala's not good enough either, huh? Nope. If you hated Biden and you shit-talk Biden, you gotta get behind Kamala. Hell, if you were in favor of Biden, you better get back. But regardless, if you are progressive, you better get behind Kamala, but you especially better get behind Kamala if Biden dropping out is what you wanted. This law also enables the Department of Veterans Affairs to move more quickly in the future to determine if illnesses are related to military service, and it offers critical support to survivors who were harmed by exposures. And the law authorized 31 new clinical sites and provides the VA with several tools and resources to ensure effective implementation of the law. Yeah, this is the PACT Act. Huge deal. Massive amount of health care for veterans. The first meaningful gun violence reduction legislation in 30 years. President Biden brought together Democrats and Republicans to pass the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first major piece of gun safety legislation in 3 decades. The law will save lives by requiring young people ages 18 to 21 to undergo... This is good policy, by the way. You guys know I'm pro-gun. There's a gun right there and a gun right there. I'm very pro-gun, okay? And this is what I'm in favor of. When it comes to gun policy, this kind of shit is what I like. I don't like the rhetoric of we need to ban assault weapons, but I love the practice of how this has turned out. The law will save lives by requiring young people ages 18 to 21 to undergo enhanced background checks, narrowing the boyfriend loophole to keep guns out of the hands of convicted dating partners, funding crisis interventions, including extreme risk protection order, red flag laws, making significant investments to address the mental health crisis in America, big, including in our schools, clarifying who needs to register as a federally licensed gun dealer, and run background checks. He closed the gun show loophole. That was a big thing. That was the whole, like... Basically what happened was the gun show loophole was really bad, but it was technically not a loophole so much as like the intent of the law. The idea was, if you're just a guy, let's say I'm Joe Schmo and you're Joe Schmow, right? Joe Schmow and Joe Schmo can go to a gun show and they can buy guns from legally licensed. I think the term is FFA might be the term. There's a term for, like, the license that legal firearm dealers have. And they're allowed to, like, run a business of selling firearms. But you can also just do, or could just do, a sale, like, between two people. I think it's called, like, a straw sale or something like that. I don't know. There's a term for it. But you couldn't do it in the gun show. Because to sell guns at a gun show, you have to be a licensed vendor. However, right outside the gun show in, say, the parking lot, there's no rules. But there's a million... Straw purchase, thank you. But there's like a million gun owners out there in the parking lot who've probably all brought their own guns to show off to other gun people. And so it always happens at these gun shows is people go in and maybe they buy some guns from the licensed vendors, but then they brought a bunch of guns to trade and sell with them to the event that they go and trade and sell to just other random people in the parking lot, previously completely legally. Which added a ton of fuzziness to, like, the history of a gun's ownership. When before... there was a much clearer paper trail of what hands a firearm has been in, so you could track the firearm's ownership to a potential criminal organization or a real suspect. And so Biden basically closed that loophole, and it's way better. I mean, Kamala and Biden. This isn't, like, when I talk about, like, Biden's achievements here, you gotta remember, these all trickle down to Kamala. You know, Kamala is his vice president. These aren't just reasons for why you should have supported Biden. They're reasons why you should now support Kamala as well. Making significant investments to address federal licensed gun dealer and background checks and distinct federal crimes. Yeah, I think we finished that section. Historic confirmation of Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson and federal judges of diverse backgrounds. Nice. President Biden nominated and the Senate confirmed Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Ketanji, I'm so fucking mushmouth today, I'm sorry. Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman to serve on the Supreme Court. Justice Jackson is one of our nation's brightest legal minds and has unprecedented experience in our legal system. President Biden's other judicial appointees include record percentages of women, racial and ethnic minorities, and civil rights lawyers and public defenders. 66% of President Biden's nominees are women and 65% are people of color. I feel like this is a very kind of giving ammo to the right with their whole Biden just hires people for DEI or whatever argument. But no, I think it's a good point that Biden has a pretty diverse administration. I think it's a pretty big deal. It's very clear. I think Biden really does a good job of giving the message, as will probably Kamala, of indicating, we're not just the old white men group, right? Biden had to fight against that idea. He's an old white man, and a fair amount of Democrats, I feel, are just inherently put off by that. I feel like Kamala has the benefit of no old white man baggage, you know what I mean? She's not an old white man. She doesn't have the baggage that comes with people's perception of even a nice old white man, Since the start of President Putin's unprovoked and unjustified full-scale invasion of Ukraine, President Biden has rallied the world to rise to the moment, stand up to autocracy, and defend democracy. President Biden has worked around the clock with partners and allies to support the people of Ukraine, coordinate and impose unprecedented economic costs against Russia, and secure robust bipartisan support at home to deliver critical weapons and economic and humanitarian assistance for Ukraine. Based. For those that know, if Trump wins, he'll probably take all the lethal aid we provided to Ukraine and give it to Israel instead. And probably greenlight them to, nuke Gaza or something. Strengthened alliances and partnerships to deliver for the American people. America's alliances and partnerships are the strongest they've ever been at any point in recent history, a hallmark of President Biden's approach to the world. I could go on. There's literally, I just realized how long we're going to be reading for if I read all of these. I'm just going to read the list of things he's done, and you can research deeper on each of these things if any of them, are make you curious, right? But these are Biden and Kamala's achievements. We've got strengthened alliances and partnerships to deliver for the American people, successful counterterrorism missions against the leaders of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, executive orders protecting reproductive rights, historic student debt relief for middle and working class families, billions canceled of student debt canceled, ending our failed approach to marijuana, advocating equity and racial justice, including historic criminal justice reform, delivering on the most aggressive climate and environmental justice agenda in American history. This one I'm going to read because it's so important, dude. This one's so important. The U.S. is now positioned to achieve our ambitious climate goals of cutting our emissions in half by 2030 and net zero emissions by 2050. The president has taken executive action and signed legislation to develop clean energy at home, accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles, and reduce pollution that endangers the overburdened communities. And the president is lowering energy costs for families, creating good-paying jobs, and ensuring America leads the global clean energy economy. The president also protected more lands and waters in the first year than any president since John F. Kennedy. All this is true. I covered all these bits as separate stories as they happened. There's actually a bunch of different things he did bundled together, but Biden has literally set the, paved the path for us to be net zero carbon neutral by 2050. Legitimately. By 2030, the coal industry is dead. Gone. He's killed the coal, assuming Trump doesn't win and undo this, Biden has killed the coal industry by 2030. That was 80% of our yearly greenhouse gas carbon footprint per year. That was huge. We gotta make sure Kamala wins. We gotta make sure that Kamala wins, or we lose all this. Everything I'm talking about here, everything I'm listing, we lose all of these achievements that Biden has worked for if Kamala does not win. And of course, more people with health insurance than ever before. President Biden took action to lower the cost of healthcare for millions of Americans. Right now, 4 out of 5 people who sign up for health insurance through the Affordable Care Act can find healthcare coverage for $10 a month or less. And millions of Americans on Obamacare are saving an average of $800 a year. Since he took office, there has been a combined 50% increase in enrollment in the United States and enrollment in states that use healthcare.gov, and the nation's uninsured rate is historically low at 8%. Over 16 million Americans signed up for quality, affordable health coverage, the highest number ever produced in an open enrollment period. So, I'm curious if there's anybody here who disagreed with my... why is Zan mispronouncing Kamala's name? Kamala? What? Am I pronouncing it wrong, Kamala? I am not pronouncing her name wrong, I don't think. It's Kamala. Kamala. I'm from the South, dog. I'm sorry, I'm from the South. I'm gonna say Kamala, okay? It's gonna be Kamala. Alright, that's how I pronounce the name, alright? It's just how it flows. That's my Dracula flow, okay? It's Kamala. Kamala. It's Kamala. I don't care. No, it's Kamala. Fuck you. Nope, it's Kamala. I'll say it however I damn well please. Hey, chat, asking for a friend. Is Kamala Harris married? Just asking for a friend. Yes. Happily? Zan, stop. I kind of like the way Zan says it. Thank you, Anthony Schuler. Based. I'm curious if anyone here had a problem with, like, me taking issue with people calling for Biden to step down. Because I hope now it's a little clearer why. It wasn't just the fact that I think Biden had the best chance against Trump in November. It's also that this has followed what feels like a malicious campaign by the left and the media to ignore all of this. Like, the amount of negative anti-Biden coverage over his stutters and being old, like the amount of coverage of that dwarfs the coverage of all these things. Hell, we didn't even have, there are things missing here. Like, Biden just recently capped the price of insulin at $35 a vial. That was a big one that wasn't even on here. The malice was oozing off of the situation. It felt very malicious to go so hard on Biden while ignoring his achievements, which is that's part of what sucks, you know? Like, I'm a little upset that, like, I've been paying attention to all this, and it seems like half the lefties I speak to don't even know a third of this stuff. Like, they don't even know Biden did a third of these things. And if they did, it might change their perspective. They might not have been calling for Biden to step down. But, on the other hand, if you're going to back Kamala, and you're going to argue in favor of Kamala, you have to acknowledge Biden's achievements, because Biden's achievements are also Kamala's achievements. So frankly, I kind of consider it a win-win from my perspective. We get a candidate who inherits the achievements of Biden, and the people who deny the achievements of Biden have to acknowledge those achievements if they like Kamala, because that is Kamala's record, are her and Biden's achievements. So those things can't be ignored anymore if you want to positively cover Kamala. And then on the other area, Kamala does not have the same weaknesses as Biden. She has other weaknesses that may be exploited, like the Kamala stuff and her being a prosecutor and like the prosecuting kids for truancy stuff that was always talked about during the primaries. But I don't know how resonant that will be with people compared to the old thing. Like, no one could deny that Biden was old, but people can pretend like Kamala didn't do a thing if she did a thing that makes her look bad, right? That's fucked. I mean, it's pretty bad, but I mean, it is what it is, you know? Kamala's our option. District attorney, not field officer. I thought she was a prosecutor. DA, my bad. District attorney. Isn't that a type of prosecutor? I'm pretty sure a DA is a type of prosecutor, right? Because you're the one who charges criminals and makes the case for the state to charge someone with a crime. Yeah, you're a prosecutor. Okay, yeah, same thing. Yep. Her jailing innocent people through corruption is sticking with me real hard. Nope, you guys don't. Nope. You guys don't get to complain about Kamala. No. I know Kamala. There's a lot of stuff you guys that are going to hear about Kamala that's going to make you feel like she is much worse than Biden. There's a reason why she won the Democratic primary, or lost the Democratic primary to Biden. You guys don't get to complain about that stuff, though. This is what you wanted. You're on the K train now. This is the ticket. This is the ticket you bought, my friends. You don't get to complain about Kamala. Oh, I feel so fucking good right now. This is my I told you so. You don't get... If I see any of the fuckers complaining about Biden, complaining about Kamala, immediately, nope, this is what you wanted. You gotta be on the Kamala train. This is what you wanted. You got what you wanted. This is what you argued for. It's not what I wanted. I know, I think you were on the Biden shouldn't drop out thing, but... Oh. AOC was right, TBH. Didn't AOC say something, The reason why I'm pretty sure the reason Biden dropped out is the donors pulling out is AOC said as much. Let me see if I can find the clip. Here's a TikTok that AOC posted earlier today.
And I'm gonna say...
Oh, this is someone's re-upload. I don't want this re-upload. I want to find the original. Where's the original clip? Oh, it's an hour long. New Congresswoman AOC just did a nearly hour-long live where she shared her grave concerns with replacing President Joe Biden as the Democratic nominee. Here's the full video, minus the very short intro she did on other work she's been doing at the moment. We'll skim this a little bit. Do you guys want to skim, like, AOC's concerns about replacing Biden? It was an Insta Live. Makes sense. Obviously don't want to doom her here. I know I was getting messages from people saying Vosh called her retarded for this take. Like Bernie and AOC have been saying basically this for a few days, and apparently Vosh called them both retarded for it, which isn't great. I think Bernie and AOC are pretty good and pretty smart.
Don't love where we're at. They don't love our options. A lot of people don't love that we have the same exact matchup all over again, which is to say that the debate didn't change much at all. It didn't really change a lot in terms of people's perceptions, in terms of where the electorate is at. And
I wish the R word would die, kind of insulting as an autistic person. I assure you, CJ Lowen, no one who uses the R slur, if you want me to call it that, on the left, is using it to refer to people being autistic or, like, neurodivergent. It is pretty unanimously used to mean dumb but meaner sounding.
Going into the debate, I'm pretty sure a lot of people knew that the president is old. The president is very old. Donald Trump is also very old and a racist and a neo-Nazi.
AOC said herself she doesn't watch the news and isn't in the loop in this exact conversation, so IDK why she's making declarative statements on Biden's public perception. What? She's a congresswoman. She's there for it. You understand that she's not a celebrity that's just got like a popular political figure or something, right? She's literally a congresswoman. She is in Washington. It's like being... She doesn't need to learn this shit from the news. If anything, she is the news. She is the person who has leaked things to the public before the press has. She knows she is part of the DNC. She is part of the squad, the most popular part of the DNC. She knows this shit. What are you talking about, dog? How are you deluding yourself? It's good that she hasn't watched the news. Her perception isn't colored by, like, secondary sources with a bias. She witnesses this stuff herself in the halls of Congress.
Nazi. But anyways, I'm not even going to talk about Trump right now. So we knew that going into it. And I feel like people knew that coming out of it. Now, what we also saw, and what I've seen, is that a lot of people who follow politics.
Yeah, you can't insult my queen AOC. I'm an actual AOC simp, okay? I would let her, like, stomp my skull into mush and, like, jelly, all right? Like, I have to stand up for my queen, sorry.
A lot that I've noticed of kind of this, like, class of people above, I shouldn't say above, but, like, separate from voters. Like, we all know we live in this country. There's voters, and then there's people with power, and there's people with a lot of money, and there's people with a lot of influence. And in the country that we live in, we have everyday people, and we have voters, and we have government, and then you kind of have this class of people in between, from pundits and media and wealthy people and donors and organization leaders and whatever, and they kind of occupy this space in between. Oh, look at that. They kind of occupy this space
that's a neat
in
feature.
Between voters and the policies that we get. And a lot of times that's why government sucks, right? Like, because lobbyists are there and whatever's happening. Anyways, so the debate happens, it doesn't go well. And then all of a sudden afterwards, you get a lot of people in this strata, and I'm not here to dismiss if you think, for example, if you are of the opinion that Joe Biden should be replaced as a nominee, I'm not here to attack you on that. I'm not here to, like, whatever.
Man, it's insane how much negativity, like, AOC got for this. I haven't even seen this clip before. I thought AOC, like, at least came in hot, or at least came in swinging to incur as much hate as she got. But, like, people were going hard on her for this. I thought it was, like, way worse. I thought it would have been, like, something just, like, more offensive, at least, you know? Like, something that would at least, like, realistically set people off. Yeah, she's just very reasonable and like, well put here.
But I just want you to know what I'm seeing. And this group of people, right? Like, if you believed this before, that didn't change anything. What changed was this class of people.
She's talking about the mega donors. She has to be very... If you're wondering why she's being so non-specific, it's because she relies just as much as any other politician in Washington on mega donor support and does not want to lose that support. So she's very subtly basically hinting at this is already public news, but she's not referring to it because she doesn't want to incur that wrath. But the mega donors were pulling support for Biden. That's truly what forced him to drop out. It was the mega donors pulling support. A lot of people attribute this to Biden's recent tax policies with progressive tax policy that hiked taxes significantly for billionaires to help pay for, you know, things for the poor and middle class people like us. And of course, those billionaires who are these parties' mega donors did not like that. And that was really what killed Biden in the end, you know, politically. I thought it was because of his age. No, I pop memes. I mean, like, the media was negatively covering Biden for his age, and a lot of people were angry at Biden because of his age. But the mega donors, they donated more than any campaign has ever generated ever a year and a half ago for this currently doddering old Biden. Something changed in the last week or so that made the media coverage go from Biden's old haha to Biden needs to step down now. You know, like, something happened, and one of the things that happened was Biden's progressive tax policy. So, you know, just worth thinking about.
Fine, ballot. Now, what I am concerned by when it comes to this case is that they are, the case for
the debate
this
didn't help either.
Is about polling. Like, there's someone here in the chat, right? He's behind in every swing state. This isn't an argument. Others may be polling better, etc. I think that this is the case that's being laid out, right? It is about the polling. It's about the data. And again, I'm not here to dismiss people. And I think it's very important to say that. And I think it's very important to say in general that I'm not here to question or attack the motives of
rookie mistake listening to chatters, yeah.
Regardless of their position on this. Like, I think what is motivating and way too reflexive in this habit of anyone who doesn't agree with me is stupid or every wasn't or whatever.
True.
People, a lot landscape of things because of favor after the debate, the performance. Now,
Dude, why were people giving her shit for this? This was so well reasoned and just like chill. God, people were freaking out at her for this. Jesus Christ. Really, AOC? You start by saying you want to be honest. Then you gaslight us by saying there's not enough time and people ought to have brought up their concerns 6 to 12 months ago. Biden blocked a competitive primary and killed all dissension. You know that, don't you? How did Biden block the primary? Let's fact check that. Biden blocks 2024 primary. Let's see. Okay, now everything's getting drowned out. Everything's drowned out by Biden dropping out. Fuck, dude. Google, please. Dude, everything's fucking drowned out now. Everything is just headlines about Biden dropping out from an hour ago. Can I find anything that's more than today old, please? I'm on page 3 now of Google results. Oh, here we go. Biden won't have challengers in NC 2024 primary election. State Democratic Party decides. Democratic President Joe Biden appears headed to an automatic victory in North Carolina's 2024 Democratic primary. The North Carolina Democratic primary has declined to allow any Biden challengers onto the ballot for March's elections. At least 2 politicians, Representative Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson, a self-help author from California who has also ran for president in 2020, have mounted challenges to Biden this year. As much as Marianne Williamson is cringe, I don't think they should have not been allowed on the ballot. Okay, there's at least seems to be merit to this. It wasn't Biden that blocked these people. It was like the DNC just said, nah, we're not letting anyone challenge Biden. He's the incumbent. But unless they fight for it, they won't be allowed to be on the ballot in North Carolina. The State Board of Elections voted Tuesday to accept all the lists of candidates for the primary submitted by the state's political parties, including the Democratic Party's Biden-only selection. Tommy Maddox, a spokesman for the North Carolina Democratic Party, defended the decision to make Biden the only option. He's the only one who's worked to earn it, he said. In order to get on the ballot, you need to have donors in the state and be actively campaigning in the state. Dude, you have to have donors in the state. Oh my God. I love how you can read articles from a year ago and it all starts to come together. It's the fucking donors, dude. It really is just the fucking donors who decide all this shit. Who's even allowed to run? The donors decide it. Oh my God, dude. I definitely think this Jonathan Greenberg person is stupid, but they are right about competitors being blocked in the primary. But it wasn't by Biden. It was by the DNC and the mega donors, dude. God damn. 3 things I took away. She's hearing more concern from the donors than for the people. We cannot assume Kamala would be on the top of the ticket if Joe doesn't run. Changing candidates at this point may be risky because probable litigation by the GOP. Yeah, that's a big issue as well. I brought that up earlier, how the GOP plans to keep off the ballot any new nominee that isn't Biden, because Biden's going to be on the ticket. Like, they can't challenge that. But anyone else, unless they're primaried, well, they could challenge it theoretically, and they could possibly, in some red states, keep that blue nominee off the ballot. The future is scary. It's a little scary, but we're going to stay positive. We're going to stay positive. God, there's a lot of mean comments on this. There's a few positive ones. Like, a couple people were like, I agree with AOC. Or just, I don't really agree, but I think she's well-spoken here, so that's nice. What's her, I'm curious what AOC's statement is. Has she backed Kamala? She hasn't been active on Twitter in like 2 days. Her last post was 2 days ago. Or actually, no, her last post was 3 days ago. Her last retweet was possibly 2 days ago, but could have been more recent, I guess, because the tweet's from the 20th. So she hasn't said anything, at least on Twitter. Let's see, what's trending? If we look at the Kamala Harris trend, what's being talked about? Kamala is celebrating right now. Oh no, guys. This post has 30K likes. Kamala should just run this on TV as a 30-second spot to confuse and or terrify the boomers. There's about a 50-50 chance of this being based or cringe. Are you ready? This has 30,000 likes. I feel like this has crossed from cringe into peak. You know what I mean? Like it's gone deep enough into the darkness that it's found the light.
I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any bitch that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your look.
Dude, I kind of hope we need to have pictures of Kamala, like, full cop uniform, like, arms crossed and looking stern, looking at Trump, and it's just law and order. That needs to be, like, how we handle the Trump thing. Like, Kamala is coming to arrest Donald. That needs to be how we handle this. That needs to be the meme we get out of this.
Sister from him. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs and party at the...
Sorry, Ethan, you're gonna have to mute that shit. I'm pretty sure we're getting demonetized and content claimed and striked if that doesn't get muted in post. That's it's gonna be rough. You know, frankly, I think we all need to acknowledge. I retweeted this before stream because I wanted to save it for stream. I feel like if no one else can take Biden's spot, I think this guy should.
As your future president, my first policy would be to increase gun control. No, young man, put the gun down. Fight like real niggas. I also have the solution to the 1% problem in America. Check this out. Is this your Beamer, young man?
Yes, it is.
Not anymore. Back the fuck up and give me the keys. Thank you. You random nigga over there, this is your shit now. Come on, man.
Oh,
Come on, man. Appreciate it, fam. Future American president. Lastly, as your president, I have a solution to world hunger. We're gonna feed these noodles to the needy 3 times a day.
Love Maruchan noodles.
Vote
Future
for Mark
president.
Phillips, ex-trap nigga, your future president.
He's got my vote. People want a link. I'll drop the link in chat. That's my guy. Nah, but for real, Kamala Harris, I think is a pretty good nominee. I think she's pretty much the second best option besides Biden. I think Biden would still have a better chance because, like, he's literally beaten Trump before, even with the odds against him as they are now, or were then, I guess. Got to prefer to Biden as a nominee in the past tense now. I'm hoping the best for Kamala Harris. We are fully on the Kamala train. Expect a lot of coverage of, I guess, instead of covering it as, like, Biden's achievements, it'll be, like, Kamala and Biden's achievements, or I guess Kamala's achievements. How should I frame it? Like, because Biden's still president, should we just, like, make all of the videos about Biden's achievements now and just attribute them entirely to Kamala Harris? Just like Kamala did this and just not even mention Biden's name? It's just like, oh yeah, Kamala, all on her own, all by herself, did this thing today, passed this bill. The administration's achievements? Nah, they're Kamala's achievements now. Yeah, we ride with Kamala. Nah, we should attribute them to Biden and Kamala. Fair. Gaslight gatekeep girl boss. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this. It's overall, I do think it's sad that Biden stepped down since I think he's got, like, the best record of any American president ever. And I wish more of America knew that, you know? But now that he's not even running anymore, maybe he'll just be kind of like, for the last few months of his presidency, maybe he'll just be evaluated honestly. Maybe the media will just genuinely give him a fair shake. And knowing that he doesn't have to worry about re-election, he can just go a little nutty and go a little more left than he might have otherwise. Like, maybe pass some policies he would have done in his second term. Just kind of speed run everything he has left planned to do, like, as much as he can. Just prep things for a hopeful Kamala presidency. Maybe 2 consecutive Kamala presidencies would be nice. We just gotta hope for the best. And it's not just about hoping. That's what you guys got to remember. It's not about just hoping. We are not just spectators in this. Your vote matters. Your voice matters. You need to use your voice that was otherwise promoting Biden or shit-talking Biden to now promote Kamala. Because at the end of the day, it's all about stopping Trump, and Kamala is our only chance now. She is our candidate. She will be, I don't 100% know, but I'm assuming she takes Biden's place here, like by default. She will be the person who runs against Trump. So you better get very comfortable with voting for her and start getting other people comfortable with it too. And I really don't think, for those of you guys who think it's all over, I don't think it's all over. I think you should be more optimistic. Do not succumb to despair. Do not doomer. If you do, then you are basically creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're one of the people that's doomering over Kamala, you're basically just creating that self-fulfilling prophecy where you are spreading apprehension and like disaffectedness and malaise, and when that spreads, then you're creating the future you worry about. You don't want to do that. Just be motivated. Fake it till you make it, even. Anyway, with all that said, guys, if you enjoyed this segment, please consider leaving a like. It really does mean a lot and goes a long way, and I appreciate it a ton. Every single thumbs up goes a long way to boost the channel and the algorithm, basically live boosting my channel and making my stuff go up, all my numbers go up. I do appreciate it. And of course, consider subscribing, ring the bell icon, and commenting down below to help support the channel as well. It's all totally free, and it really does mean a lot to me. You guys have clearly been dumping loads of support in the channel lately, because we're about to crest 91,000 subscribers. We are literally less than 10k subs away from 100,000. I will have the silver play button up on that wall, like, pretty soon. So definitely keep up with the subs, the likes, the comments. It is helping so much. I really do appreciate it. Follow my social medias linked down below in the description. Follow my social medias as well. Join my fan Discord as well. It's totally free. It's the main hub of my community and my fan base, and I also host events there, including my game events, watch parties, call-in streams, and I announce all my new uploads and streams, so if you're there, you won't miss anything. And on top of that, if you want to support me financially, do not forget you can support me financially by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. With all that said, thank you for watching this segment. I hope you enjoyed.